Just showered up, got back from the gym, trying to be as productive as possible today. Snow's finally melting outside, so able to get out and about. But today I wanted to talk about the power of consistency. And I'm really going to try to do my best to stay consistent in putting out these videos. So I thought it fitting that the first video that I put out for my YouTube channel is going to be about consistency and how powerful it is to be consistent. Now, with a lot of things that we know the truth about, it's easier said than done, right? But let's be real for a second. How many of you have started something like a new habit, a goal? Maybe you've started a fitness routine, or you've at least thought about starting a fitness routine. And you've done all this only to find yourself falling off track, right? So same here. I do it often, actually. I still go through it. But here's the thing, and this is some new information too. I've been diving a lot into scripture and ancient texts. And if you've seen some of the content on my social media platforms, you will notice that I'm really interested in that kind of stuff. And I think that we can find a lot of truth behind ancient wisdom, and especially if we bridge it with what we know about modern spirituality and religion, right? So I was baptized on the 29th of December of last year, 2023. Today is the 11th of January, 2025. And what led me to that, I think there's a lot of detail there that maybe is for another video. But what led me to that baptism in part was the years that I've spent kind of searching for truth in a lot of different areas. Anything from like reading, obscure texts that I've heard from other people that are, that hold some pretty crazy insight, to doing ayahuasca, traveling to Costa Rica to do an ayahuasca retreat. Now, after all of that, I have found that there's one commonality, and that is the word and the teachings of Jesus Christ. So without saying too much more, I'm just gonna leave it at that about my baptism for now. But going back to the power of consistency, it's something I still struggle with, right? But here's the thing about consistency, and here's the thing that actually the Bible talks about. It talks about the struggle. Specifically in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, it says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." So think about that for a second. Not giving up. Because, obviously, what we're sowing today is going to grow into something greater tomorrow, right? And that tomorrow, we may not know exactly when that's going to happen, but we have to have the faith that it will. So again, let me share something personal. For a long time, I struggled with consistency, and I get really fired up about goals. I'd really get fired up about different things, whether it was like a business or fitness, like a fitness routine or something I'd do with my fitness business, or even just being the dad that I wanted to be, right? I'd get fired up about one of these things, and then boom, doubt would, creep in like it always does. Thoughts like, who are you to think that you can do this? Or you failed before, so why should this time be any different? Just things like this that would essentially paralyze me from doing anything productive, right? If I'm being honest, a lot of the time, I'd find myself scrolling on my phone for hours. And it took me some time to realize that I was doing this just to avoid dealing with those doubts, right? But here's what kept me grounded. Here's what, after all that, kept me grounded. And it's a verse in the Bible. It's Philippians chapter 4, verse 13, which is, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," right? And this verse reminds me that I wasn't doing this alone, right? The strength that we receive from God is there for us even when we feel weak. And what I've learned is that consistency isn't about being perfect. We can never be perfect. There was only one that was perfect, and he's already sacrificed for us. So it's good. We should be comfortable being perfectly imperfect, right? It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it, even when you're doubting yourself, and especially when you've fallen off track. In James chapter 1, verse 4, it said that, "Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking in anything." So this verse, when you read it in context, really hits you hard, because it reminds you that the process, right? The showing up every day, the trying, even the failing, the process is what makes us stronger and more complete, And for me personally, that looks like starting small, journaling my thoughts, even if it's just for 5 minutes and you have no idea what to journal, just sit down and start writing for 5 minutes. Do a quick workout instead of overthinking a perfect routine. I didn't have a plan today when I went to the gym, and I usually do. And it usually drives me crazy if I don't have a plan. But, did what I thought needed to be done in the moment, and it was okay, right? One step forward is still progress. And it's biblical, right? In Zechariah chapter 4, verse 10, it says, "Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin," right? All of this stuff I found, and this is another kind of path that led me to my baptism, is everything we need to know about this, including anything else, to kind of guide us through life, is in the Bible. There's a lot of wisdom there. Every little step matters, right? Every little step matters, more importantly, to God. And He's cheering you on as you take them. So look, I'm not perfect at this. I stumble all the time. I'm stumbling right now. I still stumble, and I'm sure I'll stumble in the future. But every time I get back up, there's this realization. And that realization is that consistency isn't just about, discipline is important, but consistency isn't just about that. It's about grace, right? Giving yourself permission to grow, giving yourself permission to fail, to stumble, and to grow again from those failures and those stumbles. And that's where the transformation happens, right? This is one of my favorite verses. It's Romans chapter 12, verse 2. It reminds us not to be conformed. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is a challenging practice because this requires discipline, because you're going to fail. So you have to remind yourself to practice this in every moment, right? Renewing your mind isn't a one-time thing. It's a daily process. It's a moment-to-moment process, I would say, in your journey to reaching your fullest potential. So if you're struggling right now, I want you to hear this. You're not alone. You don't have to have it all figured out, right? You just need to take one small step today, whether it could be anything, whether it's journaling, whether it's going for a walk, or even just forgiving yourself for, where you're at right now. And trust me, those small steps add up to something really powerful. Remember, in Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16, it says, "For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again," right? And you can rise again too. So remember, there's always a force out there rooting for you. Even if you don't see it in the moment, when you think everything else is against you, even yourself sometimes. I know I feel that way sometimes. Honestly, I've been feeling that way a lot lately, but I just have to keep reminding myself of, our Creator that's always rooting for us, right? He wouldn't create something that's faulty or isn't worthy of anything. You have to remember that. We're the only ones that get in our way, right? So keep moving forward, keep progressing with what you have and what you've done. Every step, no matter how small, is a step forward in the right direction. So just keep moving forward. And I would really appreciate if you guys left a comment on your thoughts of what I spoke about today. It would really help me out in kind of creating more of these. So, and obviously do the whole, again, I'm new to this, stumbling, right? Do the whole like and subscribe thing. And I will do my best to stay consistent, utilize the power of consistency to continue pumping these out, and hopefully help you guys find some kind of inspiration or motivation to get through your struggles with the things that you're dealing with in your journey. So again, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening, and stay strong, guys. Stay honorbound.